Today, we celebrate the solemnity of the Most Holy Trinity, affirming the belief in one God living through three divine persons. I love this Sunday because it recognizes that one Spirit can inhabit multiple people, who together can champion communal and divine action. Even before delving into the readings this week, I thought of Elizabeth Johnson's She Who Is, in which the feminist theologian argues the historical precedent and feminist liberation of speaking about God, about the Holy Spirit, using traditionally feminine pronouns. I first read this book in college when a professor invited a group of LGBTQ Christians to discuss how the liberation theology Johnson posits in the book can also liberate queer people of faith who find themselves at odds with the church. Just as Johnson argues that recognizing women not only receive and bear the divine through the model of Mary, but also symbolize it as well through God and the Holy Spirit, we argue that a gender-expansive conception of God can liberate us all. I returned to the book this past Sunday. Today, in our first reading, we heard Moses preach to his people about the raw power of God, how God would take the nation of Egypt through, quote, testings, by signs and wonders, by war, with strong hand and outstretched arm, and by great terrors, unquote, followed by a responsorial psalm in which the just and right Lord's eyes fall upon those who fear him. I always struggle with these passages, along with the gospel reading today, the Great Commission, for how blatantly militarized this language is. And hand in hand with this militarization is the masculinization of God and the Holy Spirit. In our second reading, quote, the Spirit himself bears witness with our spirit that we are children of God, unquote. I couldn't help but think about the holy wars waged today, how God's claim to ancestral land justifies sexual violence, the murder of children, and the destruction of families. It is this same vitriolic male presence that has emboldened key players in this war, who see the destruction of an entire people as a divine mission. While it is decidedly problematic to claim that the masculine presence in this conflict is entirely to blame, I wonder how biblical descriptions of God and the Holy Spirit engender, quote, sacred violence, unquote. As I returned to Johnson's book, I reflected on how the readings today and the gospel have weaponized this male anger, this fear of spiritual impotency to justify violent ends. Just this past November, Pope Francis called to demasculinize the church, to prioritize the woman church at the largely male Pontifical Theological Academy. And I began to wonder, how do the messages of these passages change when using feminine or gender-expansive pronouns and names to describe God and the Holy Spirit? Is the war these passages refer to rather that which exists in the church today, where women and queer people fight for justice and truth and against our own disenfranchisement? And can this interpretation dismantle this militarized biblical framework that continues to challenge our world today?